So let's do this. And we're totally going to be live while we're like blah, blah, blahing.
Okay.
It's Shannon, and what's your last name?
On Facebook, it's Shannon Louise.
Louise?
Yep.
Live while we're like blah, blah. Hear that?
Yeah, wow.
I think this is you. Yes, Recovery Captured. All right, add friends. Hi, everybody. Oh, I see Nicola's on there already. She's awesome. Okay, I'm going to close that. And then, of course, you guys always tell me that it says public, but it never is. So let me make it public so whoever's on here can share it. If I can.
Oh my God, I'm on.
There, now it's public. And I'm going to share it to, I can never remember the recovery scene. There we go. All right, so it's shared. Hi, everybody. And we have 4 whole people on. Yes.
Yay.
Famous. So excited. So excited. All right, so what I'm going to do is, you guys who watch the live, you know this. I'm going to intro me, and then I'll intro Shannon, and we will get going. So, hey, everybody, welcome to another episode of The Recovery Scene. I'm really pumped because you'll know that I love interviewing people, other people that have podcasts. And every once in a while, you know, I'll hear people go, I want to do a podcast about recovery, but there's so many podcasts about recovery. And I always say to them, do you only read one self-help book? Like, have you only read one book on like how to sew or, you know, whatever you're into? Do it, make it happen. So today I have Shannon from Recovery Capture. So of course, after you're done here, you're going to go like and subscribe to Recovery Capture. But first, because I got to be a little selfish, like and subscribe to the Recovery. So anyway, I met Shannon through Instagram. We're kind of like meeting for real now. It took us a minute, but we got it. Anyway, Shannon, I'm really excited. Thank you so much for being on the podcast.
Yes.
I've definitely been looking forward to this and talking to you and hearing your story and everything.
Likewise.
And you are also a recovery coach, aren't you? Tell us about yourself.
Yes. So I'm Shannon Louise. I have been sober since March 20th, 2013. I've been a recovery coach since 2018. I got, I don't know, maybe 8 coachees right now. Yeah, I've just,
very cool.
My whole life is all about recovery. And now I'm adding this whole podcast to it, which is even more exciting. And if I did read self-help books, I'm sure I'd read multiple ones for each one. So yes, exactly. Listen to all the podcasts.
Exactly. Go watch all the podcasts. Right. But especially go watch Recovery Captured, Seek Purpose, and The Stigma Ends Here.
There we go.
Those are the 3 I've interviewed so far.
I'll have to listen to the other one. I haven't listened to that one yet. The Stigma what?
There's The Stigma Ends Here, which is really good. Okay. That's Mike and Travis. And then there is Seek Purpose with Brooke and Suzanne Logan. They're phenomenal. They're just excellent. And then of course now we have Recovery Captured. So.
And there it is. I'll have to listen to those. Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you.
All right. So Shannon, take it away. The floor is yours.
Oh, thank you. So like I said, I have a little over 8 years of sobriety. I mean, what it was like before, let's put it as a shit show. Okay.
that sums it up pretty well for all of us.
Prettiest shit show. You know how I always explain it as I was never enough, right? Let's just pull it out. I was never pretty enough, never smart enough, never good enough, never, you know, like whatever you can put after enough, that was me.
Yep, that's a big theme.
Exactly.
Theme among us. Yep, it sure is.
Exactly. So I always had this like void. I didn't know where it was. I didn't know what it was, but I just never felt enough. I always felt like I was competing with other people, competing with my siblings or like just myself, because I had expectations for myself that I could never fulfill.
Constantly comparing.
I don't know why. I don't
Yeah.
know why. I didn't know if I was the only one that did that, but I guess not. I
No.
I still catch myself, but I was never enough. And that's where I really realized that, something was going on. Didn't know what it was, could never put a name to it or whatever, but I wasn't comfortable in my skin, right? I hated it. I really did. So I sought out drugs, maybe. Okay, so it was my summer before freshman year, but prior to that I figure skated for years, since I
Oh,
was like,
wow, that's cool.
yeah, a little kid, like 5, maybe even earlier. I was on the ice, and for me, like getting that my skates on the ice, I hit a different mindset. I was not thinking, I wasn't there. It took me away, right? Just like drugs did. So that was like my first out. And I love that. And then I picked up drugs and, slowly moved away from my passion. But
How
yeah.
did you get introduced to drugs?
Um, well, okay, so hear me out. I thought it would be really lame if I went into high school not, um, you know, dabbling in some drugs. And I don't know why I found that necessary, but I did. And so I think it was just me and my girlfriend. Her dad had some pot, and we decided to just smoke it. And then I had a friend that her parents had booze, and we just decided to drink, type of deal, kind of get our toes wet before we jumped into the pool. My family, like on my dad's side, my mother left when I was very young. That was very traumatic for me. And that has a lot of weight behind everything. I'm not going to point my drug addiction on that, because I think I was born this way, but you know what I mean? A lot of depression and factors after that came from the abandonment issue.
Right, right.
Right.
Trauma.
Thank you. Trauma. Yes, there
Mhm.
was some trauma. So yeah, you know, I got into drugs early, and I kind of ran with it. Once I knew what was up, I was gone. I loved it. It
Yeah,
took me right out of myself. And you know what it did, Lesley? It made me enough,
right. The
right?
magic, like I call it the magic elixir or the magic
Ooh.
pill. Yes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Magic pill, obviously, right? It made me feel enough. It made me feel pretty enough, smart enough, good enough, whatever it may be. I was there and I was running with it. No
Mhm.
stopping, right? So, I was an avid pot smoker. I I dabbled with everything, right? But it was every day I smoked pot multiple times a day, always had pot, nothing less, right? And then everything else was a complete bonus, right? So I got
Right. That was like me and alcohol. Like I think we all have our one underlying drug,
yeah,
call it a drug of choice or whatever you want. But whatever I did, alcohol was always there.
yep,
Yeah,
hold my
yeah.
hand. Yep,
Mhm.
exactly. So I had that, and then I was into the uppers, hallucinogens. So I would trip whenever. So keep in mind, I'm in high school, so I'm only limited to certain time frames, which really helped me because I loved to try to control, which
Mhm.
quickly did not work, because I was
Now,
like,
was this
well,
the early 2000s?
yes. So I graduated high school in 2009.
Okay, so this was when acid was big and ecstasy was big, and yeah, it was all speed and hallucinogens and I love you drugs, and
Yes,
yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
loved it all, right?
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, I try to control it in a way of I'm not going to do it during school hours, after I
Right.
Well, that's not enough because I need to like I need a little pick me up. So I'm smoking before school and then it's just after or just on weekends, right? So I just try all this controlling because I didn't think I had a problem. I just, I wanted to keep it cool. I wanted to keep my grades okay, which they never were, but um yeah, so I fell into the druggy crowd. I was not the most pleasant human in high school to my peers. Um, yeah, and I kind of just I let go. And it was, I don't remember. I think it maybe was sophomore or junior year. I don't know. But I remember I mentioned this in one of my podcasts. I was walking down this hallway in school with one of my friends, and I looked at him and I said, I am not using drugs for fun anymore. I'm using them to escape. Like my pain, that trauma that I was talking about, I was running away from that depression. I was running away from that anxiety, that pain, that, torture that I had always put myself through by replaying all this trauma. I needed to get away from myself in a different way now because I, the side of the fun of drugs wasn't working enough. So I was using it to just escape.
Right. We use them to either cope, escape, or self-medicate, or sometimes all three.
All three, just for fun, whatever it may be. It's a messy situation. I hit all five of them. It was just not good. And I remember that day and it was horrible. I was into self-mutilation. I had burns on my hands and the teachers found out. I think it was that day. Because I had a bout of like I would erase my skin. It was a form of burning. I don't know if that's a thing, but I did. So I had a bout all over my hands the night before, and I think it was that day I was walking down the hallway telling my friend, like, I'm not using drugs for fun anymore. This is something different, and very suicidal, not in a good headspace. And 211 was called, and my father was called to the school. And
now, for those that don't know, tell them what 211 is.
It's a hotline, a hotline to a crisis hotline. Yeah. I mean,
now where are you located?
Yeah, I'm up in Vermont.
Okay.
Yep. So we have 211 and I had them come. They went to our house after, and it was just a really bad day for my dad because he found out I was suicidal, just doing some bad shit to my body. And, I put him through a living hell.
Right.
That didn't stop me. It didn't stop me.
No, because it's like this cycle, like I'm doing this substance to feel better about myself. It wears off. I hate myself. I need to quit. But I'm going to do this substance so that I feel better about it. And it just goes on and on and on. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So I continued because nothing was going to stop me from meeting up with my best friend again, which was drugs and alcohol. So yeah, it wasn't, so I carried on. I didn't stop anything. I still cut myself. I was in, I had active eating disorders all throughout like late middle school, all the way. Actually, I'll get into this a little bit later until last year. So that was there, drugs, mutilation, eating disorder, depression, anxiety. Like I've already started counseling and stuff like that. I graduated high school and I got my first drinking citation, like first big in trouble kind of deal. Did court diversion, did everything I needed to do and swept that away. I didn't want it.
Right.
I didn't want it bothering me. Yeah, I'm going to get what I need to do so I can continue doing what I need to do. Right. So I pushed that aside and then I took a year off before going into college. And then I found that I would love to go to college. I wanted to become a teacher. But I got there and I realized that I am paying way too much money to party. That's all it was. It was all it was. I went to like this really hippy dippy kind of just a giant party school. I mean, I'm sure every college is like that part, but mine was like
You'll find it, right? No matter where you go, you'll find it. Some are just a lot easier than others.
yeah. So that's what Johnson was, and I failed out. You know, I was tripping balls every night, going to school drunk. It was just not pretty. So I failed out. And I moved in with the love of my life. And it was a delight. He was older, so I got all the booze I needed, got all the drugs we wanted. It was just, I was living the dream. I thought I was golden. Yeah, it wasn't until my 20th birthday. Yeah, my 20th birthday, I tried cocaine for the first time. So for me, I never tried, like, okay, so we all have those bars, right?
Right.
Those moral bars. I'm never gonna do this. Well, of course we fucking do it. So let's up that. I'm never gonna do that. And I, you know, like I'm climbing this ladder and I finally get to the top so I can fall to the bottom.
Yeah, that's the progression.
Yeah, right. So I had this line of like, I'm never gonna do hard drugs. Hard drugs was like needles and cocaine. I never knew what what cocaine was. As a drug addict, like you think you would know, but I didn't. I had no idea. I just knew it was white and I had to snort it.
Yep.
But I didn't want to do it because I knew I was gonna love it. 20th birthday comes, I'm able to do cocaine, and guess who falls in love with it? Shannon.
The one who likes speed. Get out.
Who knew?
Right? No way.
Yes, so I fell in love and it was 8 balls all day, every day. Anytime I could get it, wherever I could get it, I was doing cocaine and I fucking loved it. Fast forward a few more months and my significant other and I break up and I move out and I hook up with one of his friends because I'm classy like that. And this individual and I and some other people, we go out one night. It was actually Thanksgiving night and we went to a park to do some drugs and I got caught. I was in the car and they caught.
Oh, that's big time now.
Yeah. So in Vermont, you can't be at state parks after like 9:00 or something. Or the police will find you. And so I was cutting out lines and he saw the baggie and he saw me like slide, because at the time we had CDs. I was cutting it out on a CD case and I slipped it underneath the car and I took the blame. And I didn't get arrested that night, which I found really weird, but they had to test it and whatever. So I get charged with it. My family doesn't know. I buy my own lawyer. I get through everything I need to do, just like my citation, right? I don't want anything messing up.
So you're working at this time somewhere?
Yes. Yep.
So you're managing to hold on to a job for right now?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, wow. To think about that, I was like, ooh, yeah, that wasn't classy either. I did not do good there. Which on the outside I thought I did, right? But no.
Oh, we always think we're slick.
Oh God.
So not slick.
The lies I would tell myself and others, it was horrible.
Yeah.
But yeah. Oh no. And so I paid for my lawyer, not through my job because that was all for drugs. It was through a savings that my family saved up for me. So I got to use that money towards my lawyer so my family wouldn't find out what was going on. And so I got through all of my trials. I got through all of this back end stuff that he needed me to do and whatnot. I thought I was in the clear. But here, I don't know about where you are, Lesley, but here, when you have a court date, it's in your local paper.
Oh, wow. Yeah, we're in South Carolina. I don't know if they do that. Yeah. I mean, we've got that mugshot paper, but.
Yeah. No, I don't think my mugshot was in there. No, it definitely was just my name, but my aunt found it. And at the time I was living at my dad's house and he busts through that door at like 6:00 in the morning. I'm like, what a rude awakening this is.
Oh, and no.
He railed me and yeah, he's like, what the fuck is going on? Yelling at me, like didn't know I was that bad in drugs. And it was the next day, I think, that we had a family intervention. It was so I have two sisters and two brothers. So I had my biological sister there, and my brother at the time was deployed. So it was my stepmom, my dad, and my sister. And they sat me down at the kitchen table and gave me an ultimatum, like, either you're out or get your shit together, like, plain and simple. And the thing that got me the most was my sister threatened to take my nephew away from me. So, like, at the time, my nephew was the only baby of the group. He was my pride and joy. I lived at my father's house, and he watched the baby throughout the day, like the babysitter type of deal. And my sister said, well, if you don't stop, because I had drugs, men, or whatever in the house, he's like, if you don't stop, Ben's not going to be, my nephew's not going to be here anymore, like, you're not going to be able to see him, you're not going to be able to have him here, whatever. And so she's threatening to take this little child away from me. And I threw my hands up and I was like, fuck this, not happening. The gig's up, do what you need to do, but that kid will not leave my life, I promise you that. And I showed him the affidavit of everything that happened. The next day, my stepmom brought me to my first AA meeting, and that's where I got sober. That was March 20th, 2013.
Wow. So you're a one-shit wonder.
One shit wonder. Yeah.
One chip wonder. That's fantastic. I was like a 432 chip wonder. It took me like 10 years to get one year.
Yeah, well, Lesley, if it happened the day before or the day after or a minute later, I wouldn't have gotten it. I promise you. Like, it had to happen in that split second for me to just let everything go. Right? My I had 24 hours before this meeting. I had no idea what meetings were. I had no idea what AA was. I had no idea what rehab, any of that stuff was. Very foreign. Right.
I knew what AA, I didn't know what NA was, never heard of that, but I knew what AA was. And that was something you made fun of growing up. Yeah. Hi, I'm Lesley, now I'm an alcoholic. Hi, Lesley, and it was, and I admit it. I mean, I admit it. It was, it's something. And I still hear, I can't remember where I was, but there's these guys, and they must have been like college age, and they're like, oh, I'd go to an AA meeting drunk. And I'm like, great, everybody there would try and help you. Like, that's the one thing I had. Like, it wouldn't be hilarious or, itchy or, whatever, edgy. They would just be like, oh, dude, you're the most important guy in the room.
Yeah. I had no idea. I never, even growing up, I never joked about it because I had no idea. I saw it in movies. Couldn't comprehend anything, but I didn't know what NA was. As you said, I was at a friend's wedding, and I was like, oh, how'd you guys meet? She's like, in NA. And I was like, oh, you guys went to nurse. So she's like, in LNA or something. And I was like, oh my God, you guys met in nursing school. She's like, no, NA. I was like, still have no idea what that is. She's like, Narcotics Anonymous. I was like, still have no idea what that is, but cool.
Right.
And then I got sober, and I went through my first AA meeting, and I had introduced myself. I was like, hi, I'm Shannon, a cocaine addict. And this lady picked me up. She's like, here, come with me. And she brought me to another fellowship, but I went back and found my home there and never looked back. I did what the program told me. I had no other way. I didn't know what I was doing. I just knew I could not do drugs or alcohol, no matter what. And before I even got into the program and was really able to let anything sink in, I knew that I had to change people, places, and things. I knew I couldn't go back to the bars. I knew I couldn't go back to my drug dealer's house. I broke up with my boyfriend the night of the intervention, and I never said goodbye to any of my best friends.
Yeah. And that is something that a lot of people have the hardest time with. You've got to let those people, places, and things go. You have to, whether you're in a 12-step fellowship or not, it doesn't matter. You've got to. You've got to, because, you know, I hate cliches, but a lot of the cliches in recovery are there because they work. And that one where they say nothing changes if nothing changes is exactly right. All you have to change is everything.
That's right. Right. And it's true. And once you go through it and you see the changes in your life, you understand like, oh, okay, see, I can't just go and hang out at the bar because that's not going to do anything for me now. I don't find enjoyment out of that unless, you know, for a long time after getting sober, I couldn't go to concerts. I couldn't just go to, you know, I love to dance. And so I couldn't go to the club and dance. I had to wait a very long time till I could finally understand that I can go to these places, these old places, but still have a purpose, right? I'm not going to go there for no purpose, right? But if there is, you know, a club that I can go dance at for like 80s night, I'm there, right? If there's a concert, I'm there. I just need to know an exit plan. People that I'm with need to know. I mean, anyone that I hang out with knows that I'm in recovery.
Right.
You'll
still get that person that goes, "You don't drink? How come?"
Oh,
like, why is that the one drug we have to explain why we don't use it? Nobody ever goes, "You don't do heroin? How come?" Like, nobody does that. It's always alcohol.
It is so true. But I'm the one to be like, oh, well, let me tell you. You know,
right. Me too. You're gonna be so sorry you asked.
I know. I'm such an open book, and I love it. You know, because if I wasn't, I wouldn't be here today.
Right.
For such a long time, I was so ashamed of it. I don't know if that's for you too, Lesley, but I was so ashamed to call myself an alcoholic.
That's the stigma.
It is. And you know
what we're fighting against. Yes.
Right. And the stigma for me in my head was an old man in a trench coat with a brown paper bag. I'm like, excuse me, I don't think that's me. I don't look like that. But
I know. So many of us think that way. But one guy that I interviewed, Sal, he's hilarious. And he said he went to a meeting and this guy has like years and years clean. And he was the guy with the trench coat and the bottle of booze, and Sal's like, "Oh my God, you exist." Like, they're real.
And then there's all of us. I never knew that, you know, in the rooms that there would be young people.
Yeah.
Never knew it, you know.
And like I'm a mother of 4, or you've got the nurse over here who, you know, almost lost her license.
The lawyer.
The lawyer, the dentist, you know, and it's like, I mean, flight attendants, it doesn't discriminate. It doesn't care who you are.
It doesn't.
Or your economic status or any of that.
And you're not taught that. You're not taught that in school. You know, it's just like this low life scum that happens to have alcoholism. But no, it's all these professionals that have to keep covered because there's such a stigma around addiction. And, you know, like now in recovery, I've had a few people like tilt their head, kind of question me like, like that's not cute. And I'm like, you want me to be storing drugs off of your, you know, son's back end? I don't know what you want from me.
I've had jobs, you know, taken away from me.
Really?
I mean, it's not a good image. It's not a good look for the company. Well, you know what? I'm not going to stop. So guess I'm not working with you.
Yeah, right.
You know, but what people don't understand is the more you perpetuate that stigma, the more we shame addicts and alcoholics, the more are going to die because they're not going to come forward. They are not going to come forward. They're not going to say, "Hey, I have a problem." You know, especially, I guarantee you, anybody that is watching this either on the live, the YouTube, or listening to it on the podcast, I promise you, there is somebody in your life that you think is a straight arrow. I mean, you just think they've got it together.
Yes.
They could be a professional. They could be a speaker. They could be a famous author. I mean, whatever. I promise you, there is somebody in your circle that is suffering and they are not going to come forward because that stigma is going to be all over them and it's going to quote unquote ruin their reputation. And that's really sad. that is very sad.
Yeah, or if it's not someone in your close circle, it's someone in your close circle that has family members,
Yeah.
friends, significant others, children, or whatever it may be, that are suffering from it and don't have a voice and don't know how to navigate the world because they don't have resources, or they're ashamed, or they're, scared of what people are going to say or
Right.
think. And it's
Right.
like, we can't move around the world like that anymore. I'm not here to walk on eggshells. I'm here to make the earth shake,
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
I'm like, and that's why I made the podcast. That's why I reached out to you. Like, let's get this voice out, because
Right.
I'm just,
And we're in no way saying that if you're a family member, we're in no way saying that you don't have the right to be upset or angry or, absolutely, especially if what they're doing has directly affected your lives. You have the right to all of those emotions, you know. But the stigma of they're a loser, they're a junkie, that's not true. I mean, you just listened to Shannon's story, and here was drugs and alcohol, and here was all the other issues that she was having to deal with. All this was doing was helping escape, cope, or medicate.
Right.
So most of the time, it's not, these people aren't losers, they're in pain, and they're dealing with it in a very bad way. It's a bad coping skill. It's a really, really bad coping skill.
It is.
You want to break it down to its, simplest terms.
Absolutely. And with that being one of our only main coping skills, we lack other coping skills that we should have learned on the way,
Right.
or other techniques to just move about our lives. We suppressed ourselves for so long and pushed all these emotions and feelings aside and didn't learn other things to put into our fanny packs or our toolbox or our backpack, whatever it may be.
Yeah. Our toolbox is empty.
It was filled with sloppy second booze and cracked out CD cases and
right.
It was just gross. It was nasty. We had to clean that out. We had to.
Yeah. I mean, we have to turn around. It's scary to have to turn around and face demons. And people will go, well, but there are other people who do that all the time and they don't use drugs. You're right. You're absolutely right. And I'm glad that they were fortunate enough to, find this other way first.
Right.
We just happened to find this way first. And it stinks, but it is what it is, So we've just got to, face those demons, and we have to do it sober. And that's really hard because, science has come a long way since the big book was written in the 30s. And we know that brain chemistry actually changes.
Oh, yeah.
And so you're literally learning how to live again, how to socialize again, how to work again, not in an altered state. It's terrifying.
Yep. You got to learn.
You forgot how to live.
Yeah. And you got to learn these emotions and put names to these emotions and how to act when these emotions arise.
It's not easy.
No, and it still isn't. I'm going to be straight up. I still have these emotions. I'm like, what do I do with them?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I tell everybody I am medicated for your safety. It's just what it is.
It's true. But learning things in early sobriety, I mentioned this in one of my podcasts, my friend and I talk about things that we learned. And it was like, I learned how to grocery shop. I didn't know how to grocery shop. My sponsor was on the phone with me and she's like, okay, make a list, like walking me through it. Okay, you go down this aisle and you get this because you're going to need this for these recipes, or this is a staple or whatever. I didn't know any of this.
Right.
So it's
wild.
Things. Yeah.
I didn't know how to take care of a house. I didn't know how to take care of my kids, without some kind of, without alcohol and whatever. And I always say, I thank God that they were 1 and 2.
Wow.
When I got sober, and I had my mother-in-law, my mother, and my husband. So, you know, they were very, very taken care of, even when mom was stuck in the bedroom sick, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, it's crazy what we have to relearn.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
tell us where you are now. Tell us about the podcast, the recovery coaching, and life today for Shannon.
Life today for Shannon is absolutely amazing. I love my life. And I couldn't have said that, unfortunately, a few months ago, maybe like a year ago, I was in a very depressed state. I mentioned it earlier about my eating disorder. I am a few weeks out from just a year past the start date.
Oh, that's very cool. Oh, congratulations.
Yeah, so I went to a nutritionist and finally opened up. No one knew about my eating disorder. I never shared it with anyone. Never talked about it, just did my own thing. And a year ago, I started. And so, yeah, it's been awesome. And that's really helped me understand and build a relationship with food. It has allowed me to nourish my body, which I didn't know how to do.
Right.
At 28 years old, didn't know what I was doing. And yeah, so I got that, and started this podcast. And the podcast is for everything under the sun to do with recovery. So recovery from drugs and alcohol, recovery from depression, anxiety, my eating disorder, other people, like sex addiction, gambling, family members of, like whatever you can be in recovery for, we talk about it. Because like I said, that we can't dim a light anymore.
Right.
It has to be talked about. And it has to get out there. And so that's why I thought starting this podcast would be the best way to at least know that I'm doing some sort of good.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Now, how did you get into recovery coaching?
Yeah, so I actually used to manage sober houses. And we have a local nonprofit community here called Vermont Foundation of Recovery. And so I was a house manager there for a few years. I managed a woman's house, 2 women houses, and I loved it. I loved it so much. And they're like, here, we have this like recovery coaching program that you can get certified. I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking about. For sure. I'm paying for it. I'll go. And I did it. And it was the most amazing thing ever. I absolutely loved it. It was a week-long training, and I got connected with our local recovery center, which is called the Turning Point Center of Chittenden. And I'm in and out of that building all day with meetings and whatnot. So I knew the people, and I talked to my supervisor, and I was like, "Hey, I'm certified, but show me what to do. I'll do it." And I just ran with it, and now I work for another organization. It's called Working Fields, and it's like a temp agency, so it helps individuals with backgrounds get jobs and stuff.
Oh, cool.
And so they're required to have a recovery coach, so I also am a recovery coach with them.
Oh, that is really awesome. That is really awesome. Shannon, thank you so much for being on the podcast and,
of course,
sharing your story with us and everything. And we will definitely be checking in the future. And like she said, her podcast is Recovery Captured. So after you like and subscribe to this one, go like and subscribe to that one.
Yep.
All right. And I'm assuming it's available wherever podcasts are available.
Yep. On all platforms, YouTube, and my Instagram is Recovery Captured.
Yes, definitely go follow her on Instagram, Recovery Captured. I do. I do. So anyway, that's going to do it for this episode of The Recovery Scene. And you all remember, addiction isn't pretty, but recovery is beautiful. And we will see you all next time.